Hey guys, I was wondering if you guys saw the video the other day from CrossRoads Church where this female pastor that's right here with her mouth open, uh, she kicked the Bible as part of their whatever they were doing. This thing right here where she actually kicks a Bible. The comments, they said that they noticed that the other day the lady that was kicking the Bible as a football came from CrossRoads Church in Cincinnati, Ohio. And once again, we have orange being the number 33 hidden in plain sight. We've got the chevron being the number 3 hidden in plain sight. And then if you take away the chevron and you've got those two squares without that thing in the middle, that kind of looks like a number 3. So, what are the crossroads? Do you guys know that the crossroads are where all the musicians meet with the devil to be able to sell their souls to the devil? So thanks, Dave Stewart, for this heads up. This movie right here called Crossroads, it specifically is talking about this musician who is this one Jack Johnson? That went down to Alabama or something like that, went to the crossroads and met the devil and sold his soul at the crossroads. So, this is the lady kicking the Bible. Crossroads are where the people go to sell their souls to the devil. This is not a church. This is another Freemasonic Luciferian cult who's pretending to be Christians. Where in Scripture does it say, go and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them? Go kick a football-shaped Bible to entertain the people in the congregation. They will heap up for themselves teachers to tickle their itching ears. They won't listen to Scripture anymore. They want to be entertained. This is going to be the sheep and goats judgment. The goats are the Freemasons, the ones who are going to be judged. The goats are the people, the men who ride goats, the Rough Riders. That's the Freemasons. This is a sheep and goats judgment that is about to happen, and this lady is showing that she is one of the goats. That's a Freemason logo, you guys. That means they worship Lucifer as God. How about this one? CC, which is the hidden number 33 in Gematria, which is what these guys use. ABC, 1, 2, 3. So the C in the C is a hidden number 33 in orange. Once again, see this hexagon? The hive mind programming that goes along with the Freemasons. It's the hexagon. It's the hive mind programming that goes along with the Freemasons. X is the sign of the dead, and an X inside the circle is Lucifer worship. Knowing that the Freemason square and compass is a male piece and a female piece, boy parts and girl parts, what do you think that logo is? That has to do with the Crossroads Church. X is a sign of the dead, the religion of the dead. It has to do with Freemasonry. And the middle section is blue for the blue degrees of Freemasonry. If you see the black, white, and red, then it is the Templar guys, the higher-ups. How about this Crossroads Church, who's using 2 chevrons that makes a 3rd chevron? And it sure does look like a number 3 to me. This one's Pike's Crossroads, and they're using chevrons for their logos. I never saw chevrons in Christian logos, even as a kid. Crossroads Church in Benson is using orange CC. So they've got the number 33 in the CC. They've got the 33 hidden in the orange. And then the Crossroads and the church in the logo is another 33. So once they go down to the single denominator gematria, they've got a hidden number 666 in that logo. The X is the sign of the dead. This is another and they're orange again. And it's Crossroads Church. This time it's Christian Church. How about this for you guys? This is the Ouroboros or Ouroboros, or however you say it. See how this circle around the crossroads has it has a beginning and it has an end. That's the snake eating its tail from Freemasonry. It's all over the place. Toby Mac uses that in the Goatee Records logo. That logo is this, where it's the snake eating its tail. That's what the open-ended, that's what that logo means. Specifically, that's what it means. It's not something I'm even making up at all. I can go and show you. See how this is the snake eating its tail? See how in the Goatee Records logo owned by Toby Mac, how the O doesn't connect together? It's on purpose. That's the snake eating its tail. Toby did that on purpose. If you come down the playlist 2 years, down to Toby Mac, Goatee Records logo examined, occult symbolism. I used to babysit Toby's son Truett. When I told Ricky B that Toby was a Freemason, Truett instantly overdosed on drugs and they took him off of the world stage. I know all of these guys inside that picture personally. I love you guys, but this isn't a cult. Toby Mac is a Freemason. Bethel Redding is a Freemasonry. All of these people are practicing occultists, and they're not teaching you the faith of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. They're saying, we're Christian, we're Christian, we're Christian, we're Christian. But they don't have the fruit that goes along with what Scripture says is the faith once preached. Right. Crossroads. Right? Crossroads. Let me pause that and read it for you guys. What is Freemasonry? Freemasonry is an organized religion that is tasked with spreading the light of Lucifer to the world. It desires to rebuild Solomon's temple and save humanity through their Messiah. It is a religion masked and covered by secrets and charity. They are agents of darkness masquerading as angels of light. That says agents of light. But Satan disguises himself as an angel of light or as a worker of light, and his followers as workers of righteousness. That's what this is. Remember that Yeshua said, have you never read the scriptures? The builders, the Freemasons, are the ones who rejected Yeshua. Then it says, and they were in the outer court, and there were 25 men with their backs to the east, worshiping the sun to the east. 25 men is about how many people are in the general assembly size, the general size of a Freemason lodge, because there's lodges everywhere. So this is a pretty much general that Scripture was telling us, Yeshua was telling us, the Masons are the bad guys.
The world is run symbols. Symbols are a method of communicating an idea without having to speak a word. Manly Hall, a 33rd degree Scottish Rite Freemason, philosopher, and occultist, said this about symbolism in his book, The Secret Teachings of All Ages, which was written in 1928. Symbolism is the language of the mysteries. By symbols, men have ever sought to communicate to each other those thoughts which transcend the limitations of language. In a single figure, a symbol may both reveal and conceal. For to the wise, the subject of the symbol is obvious, while to the ignorant, the figure remains inscrutable. Hence, he who seeks to unveil the secret doctrine of antiquity must search for that doctrine not upon the open pages of books which might fall into the hands of the unworthy, but in the place where it was originally concealed. And his quote is a great segue into this discussion of symbols in this part of the series, because I believe no other organization on earth uses symbols in their communication more than the Freemasons. They are able to communicate to each other in plain sight because of our lack of knowledge on their secret occult beliefs. And because they have degrees in the organization, what a low-level Mason may know may be drastically less than one like Manly Hall, who is a 33rd degree Mason. But for the uninitiated like myself, without a great deal of reading and research, much of this is just hidden from our understanding. And we will never know all the secrets, and I don't want to, because just knowing the basics allows me to understand that these symbols are not something that I want to include in my life. So we will see these symbols every day and think they are just inconsequential and mean nothing, while they are actually passing on the promotion of Lucifer right in front of our eyes. My goal is not to make you an expert on their symbols and organization, but simply to open your eyes to what is in front of you and make you aware so that when you see a huge symbol right in front of your face, you are aware and not manipulated into accepting occult beliefs because of lack of knowledge. Hosea chapter 4 verse 6 says, "My people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge." So what I want to do is give some knowledge. Let's be.
There's their X starting again. Joyce Meyer, Stephen Furtick.
This must be Malcolm X, if I can remember right. And there he has on a Masonic ring, by the way. You can see, I believe, from here it's hard to see, but I believe in that picture there is a square and compass of the Masons. So he was not only a black Muslim, there it is, but he was a Mason. And there's the Prince Hall Masons, made up almost entirely of black people, black men, that is.
Right.
And here he's pointing to his head, and he's basically asserting that he is more intelligent and more all-knowing than the masses. And I would think that black people would be insulted. By the way, the X, of course, some people think it's from the Islamic faith or whatever, but of course X was one of the signs of Osiris, the Egyptian sun god. And the Islamic faith has many, many old vestiges of the old religions. Osiris, there we have the X again and various other symbols.
It has the it was in the placement of the hands.
The placement of the hands in the cross. By the way, in some Masonic orders, they have Masonic funerals, and they do the legs or the hands of the body. Oh, really?
Yeah.
And then right before the casket is covered, they cross the hands, just as they did in the ancient death burial rites of the Egyptian mummies and so forth. So here again, they hearken all the way back to the ancient mystery religions. And yet many of these people have the gall to call themselves Christians. Now there's Stephen King doing the X. And
that last mummy actually was Ramses, who is one of George Bush's descendants.
Oh, it could be.
According to David Icke.
Oh, really? So David Icke. I didn't know about that.
That's one of George Bush's relatives right there.
Well, yeah.
David Icke. Yeah.
I thought you meant that the brain power was exactly the same. At this moment in time, I didn't know what you were referring to. But we saw Stephen King there. Of course, he's the king of the horror genre, fiction. But isn't it interesting? This was from either Time or Newsweek magazine, one of them. But here's an enigmatic sign he's giving, a mysterious sign. There was no caption that explained it. This is, people you don't take a picture of them, they don't just cross their hands like this. This is very obviously a sign of the dead, going all the way back to Egypt. And I think he identifies with the dead. And maybe he's been given special powers by forces from beyond, in other words, demonic, to write his books and become famous and rich.
It seems that, I was watching Ocean's 12 the other day, and the guy in the movie is like, oh, it's like this capitalism stuff doesn't even work.
Oh, yeah, they're sort of...
The basis of all Freemasonry is Kabbalism, Jewish mysticism, and that's what the Stephen Furtick and Crossroads Church, when that lady is kicking the football, she is practicing Hermetic magic. She's not reading the scriptures out loud.
Letting you know they're practicing Jewish Kabbalism. Jewish Kabbalism is a system of sorcery and medieval witchcraft that Albert Pike, in his Morals and Dogma, his former Sovereign Grand Commander, actually admitted was the very basis, the core of the Masonic rituals.
And then he called for the Holy Masonic Empire.
Yeah. That is the...
Talking about his favorite color. My favorite color, orange. People laugh, people are cheering, but they have no idea why he says that, of course. Orange being the only color in numerology that is 33. A Masonic number, of course. The highest degree in the Scottish Rite of Freemasonry.
Okay. So, chevron is equivalent to the number 33, but when you add the 3 and the 3 together, you get a 6. So all of these logos have been hiding hidden number 666s all over the place. Chevron's a number 33, orange is a number 33. Whoops, wrong pause button.
It's a beautiful flag. Where'd you hold that up so they can see it? It's really good. So you see here the Star Trek emblem, which is a chevron, as you can see here in numerology, just so happens to be 33. Just another amazing coincidence.
So here we have Furtick's number 33 chevron and color orange 33. Just the same as Crossroads Church. The lady that was kicking the Bible. And Crossroads is where they sell their soul to the devil.
Gives us a picture of both God's all-seeing eye. Gives us a picture of both God's...
So here we see the 8 pillars. Here we see the 8 pillars that Stephen Furtick has up on the stage. That has to do with the house. Actually, I'll have to come back and explain that to you guys different time. So here's the 8 pillars up on the stage.
all-seeing eye.
And then you have these weird things that I've noted over the years as it relates to Stephen Furtick. And that is that in the past, he's been a guy who's had some notable rings. I mean, that kind of looks like a Masonic ring to me. And then you got, that one right there. Let me zoom in a little bit here. And, I had a relative who was in that particular secret society. And, he had a ring just like it. And, in fact, it has a name. It's the Masonic Carnelian ring, or men's statement ring. I mean, they do look...
So, if you were to watch the original of this video, I made the Code Orange Freemasonry video. Then this guy comes along. He's using this logo right here that I have blurred out is a Templar cross. It's a Chi Rho. And he ends up saying, I had a particular relative, and I even know the name of the Masonic ring, even though it doesn't have a square and compass on the top. He still could identify this Masonic ring. And in a minute, he's going to say, everybody knows that a pastor couldn't be a Mason. He's clearing his throat because he is a Mason. He's not going to tell you that he's a Mason. He made this video after I made mine. I only got 1,300 views. He got like 70,000 views of him telling people don't use the semiotic symbolism to be able to catch these guys.
Kind of, alike. Now, then again, you got this ring here. Remember Elephant Room? That particular ring. Is that a Templar cross in that thing? Well, here's another look at it. Let's zoom out. Yeah, that kind of looks like, a Templar cross. And then, of course, you got the Elevation logo. But, here's a cleaner version of it. Yeah, that is absolutely a Templar cross, and that V thingy that kind of looks like that. That's kind of a weird thing because that V thingy that's upside down. Here again, you can kind of see the Templar cross and the V thingy. I mean, that's a Templar symbol right there. Notice the V here. Are you familiar with the Talpiot tomb? I mean, have you ever heard of the hooked X? And how when you break the X apart, one half of it is the female symbol and the other is the male symbol. I mean, I just think it's weird. I mean, everybody knows that a Christian pastor would, never be a Templar. Anyway, stuff like this. Then again, I'm not initiated. I've been told that this is something important. And then I think about, everybody knows that secret societies, they have handshakes and stuff. And, Furtick would never talk about that, right?
She said you had a secret handshake with everybody on that campus.
Right, that and a secret handshake. I don't know what to make of it. And you guys remember that Hey Haters video? We put a Max Holiday dub on it, and of course, everyone laughs at that when they see Stephen Furtick's face, and he goes, "Hey Haters, you look like a toddler," right? Well, well, here's the original without our dub, and when you go back and you watch this thing and listen to what he's saying, one has to ask the question: what exactly is his agenda? Here's his conclusion to Hey Haters. Listen.
Waste your time casting stones, breaking bones, belittling everyone you consider opposed? Or are you going to exchange your hate, trade the pain of the same, embrace a new way to change the world?
Embrace a new way to change the world? What? And as he continues.
Honor's time has come, and a new light has dawned to still the tongue of the cynic and pierce the heart of the skeptic. This generation is waiting to restore the hope of a nation.
This generation is waiting to restore the hope of a nation. Now, I'm a pastor. I'm ordained, and I've never seen in Scripture.
He's a pastor. He's ordained. He's wearing a Catholic collar. He's a Babylonian worshiper. Don't listen when Chris Roseborough speaks. He's leading more Satanists that are calling themselves Christians that have no fruit of Christianity. They're really good at pointing out the satanic habits inside the church because they themselves are practicing the same satanic habits inside the church. Sunday worship, Lutherans. This guy is a Lutheran. That means that his stuff came from Catholicism. He's even still wearing a collar. Catholicism has nothing, zero, to do with the faith of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. It is Babylonian worship mixed in using Christian lingo. The same as the New Apostolic Reformation is New Age Freemasonry using Christian lingo. That's the same thing as any of the Martin Luther stuff. All of that stuff is still connected to Catholics. It's not Christianity as far as the way. The stuff that Paul said that he was of the way, that these guys are not of the way. They are of a Sunday worship, pagan church worshiping Easter, Christmas, which is Tammuz worship. The Easter is Isis worship. All this stuff is, remember, Scripture says, God said, do not worship me in the same way the pagans worship their gods. Well, guess what? That's what all of Sunday worship is. It's all how the pagans worship their gods.
That command that I'm supposed to, restore the hope of a nation? I mean, that kind of sounds like it has rings of Novus Ordo Seclorum or something, like that. But then again...
We are united under one vision. There salvation is built on the vision God gave Pastor Stephen. We will aggressively defend our unity and that vision.
Pastor Eric Dykstra of the Crossing Church allegedly received his vision from God.
We are united under the visionary. Now, the visionary here is Eric. The crossing is built on the vision that God gave Pastor Eric.
Oh, his church is called the Crossing Church.
And we will aggressively defend that vision. Now, what does that mean here, aggressively defend that? That means that we do church the way he wants us to do it. And me as a campus pastor, I can't go up to Zimmerman and decide that I'm going to preach on Sunday because that's not the vision that we have for this church that God gave to Eric. And we defend that when people go, well, maybe we should do it this way. And we're like, no, you don't understand. God gave Eric this vision. We do it this way. Because we don't want to argue with God, basically. We don't want to be like, Eric's not God. We're not saying Eric's God. He's not God. But he's got a vision from God, and we have...
He's not God. He is a Freemasonic occultist who wants you to be able to understand Christianity through his satanic vision.
Decided with our lives that we're going to follow that vision and we're going to stick to that. And if we ever just decide that we don't want to be a part of that vision, then we can go find a church and serve somewhere else. And that's okay. We're not telling anybody that they have to unite under this vision that Eric got from God. You can do whatever you want, but we think that it's a really cool vision. We're on board with it. And we're going to defend it, and we're going to stick to it.
So to argue with Eric is to argue with God. But these new revelations and visions contradict the doctrine of Jesus. Notice the church codes from both of these megachurches stated how the God-given vision of the pastor is to be aggressively defended.
And we will aggressively defend that vision.
We will aggressively defend our unity and that vision.
This means that the vision cannot be challenged. Any critique of the visionary is unacceptable, no matter how biblical that critique may be. To oppose the visionary is also to oppose God, because the vision supposedly came from God.
Let's talk about the other end of the continuum, those that are detractors, those that are fighting the vision. How do you deal with that side of the equation? Test fly it, guinea pig it, do all that. And then when you have, when you're announcing a major new vision and you go through all these processes, then I love to say, now look, some of you are going to have a difficult time digesting all this. We're going to wait a week or so, and then we're going to have an open question and answer time down in our chapel. And we're going to listen to all of the concerns that you have about it. Yeah. Some of our best corrections have come by people who weren't really detractors. They were clarifiers. If you've done that 3 or 4 times and had all those Q&A times, and there are still some people who are, at that point, actual stone throwers. I mean, they're just going to dig in and make your life miserable. I have a couple of extra, even one-on-one meetings with them, and then my big line, you've heard me use it before, I say, all right, you don't agree with this vision. I'm asking you as a fellow believer, don't sin in your disagreement with this vision. Don't sin. And
Now, sin to these guys means don't disagree with the leader. But according to Scripture, sin is a transgression of the law of Torah. And these guys, Sunday worshipers, are dispensational theologists who are going to tell you that God's dealing with the church right now and he's put Israel on the back burner. And that's exactly what these guys are doing. They're making themselves important. They're making Israel, the faith of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, into something inconsequential. And they've changed the don't sin by disagreeing with me, when inside Scripture, don't sin means don't break the law of Torah that God gave to Moses, gave to us, gave to Israel through Moses. Don't break Yah, Elohim's law. But this guy changes sin into disagreeing with his Freemason training.
so I've had there are still some people who are, at that point, actual stone throwers. I mean, they're just going to dig in and make your life miserable. I have a couple of extra, even one-on-one meetings with them, and then my big line, you've heard me use it before, I say, all right, you don't agree with this vision. I'm asking you as a fellow believer, don't sin in your disagreement with this vision. Don't sin. And so I've had the conversation with people saying, do you have to leave the church so you won't sin? Or could you stay in the church and not sin? And people go, I guess I could stay here. Yeah, good. I mean, that's such a cool picture, because I think a lot of leaders are tempted to think that binary in this regard. They either will buy into the vision, hook, line, sinker, the whole deal, or I just need to have them leave the church. In fact, maybe success is that they didn't sin and kept an open mind and stayed in community. Maybe that's success for certain people. Yeah. Reject. Do I need to spell that out? Why? That's so cool. It's so wise. How much heartache I could have saved our church.
James McDonald. Hold on. April 14th, 2023, former Harvest Bible Chapel senior pastor James McDonald was arrested in California last month and charged felony assault and battery against a 59-year-old woman after a traffic accident. Now, James McDonald had already been removed. See, this is an order out of chaos situation, just like the cliffs for Bethel. This guy had already been removed from his church because he had a hit put out on, I believe it was his son-in-law, a death hit like a gangster hit, kill, head, dead, hit. That's what these guys are. They're a Freemason cult. If you speak against them and they find out, they're coming for you. I don't know how true this thing is, but the Christian Post says that James McDonald is eligible to avoid prison time because of his PTSD. That's interesting. Here we go. I didn't want to end up saying it wrong. So James McDonald and target of his alleged murder plot make video espousing love, more disturbing stories. James McDonald tells ex-son-in-law he had allegedly tried to kill something. He tried to hire a hitman to kill his former son-in-law. I've always loved you, Pastor James. So, Harvest Bible Chapel founder James McDonald shot back at recent allegations he tried to hire a hitman to kill his former son-in-law. You guys, this was all over. This is the guy who's trying to be in charge of your churches. Finds hitman loophole in 6th commandment. What? Wow. So, this is James McDonald. And this is James McDonald.
Reject. Do I need to spell that out? Why? That's so cool. It's so wise. How much heartache I could have saved our church over the last 2 decades if I had lowered my expectation of my ability to change the behavior of others and raised my expectation that people will be as they have been. A factious man is a danger to the church, and you are released by Scripture to release him. And I'm releasing you to take a small portion of your church's budget, build a catapult, put it in a church parking lot, and load it regularly. I
think we can shoot this one right out of our county.
I love you guys. Come out of the beast of Babylon. These pastors are not really pastors. They're the wolves in sheep's clothing that are eating you guys for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. This guy tried to put out a hit on his son-in-law and then pretended not to. Then that whole story just got covered up by him hitting some lady, and now he can't even go to prison for hitting some lady because he's got PTSD. You know why he's not going to prison? Because he stood up in front of a judge, he made a 45-degree angle with his feet, and he ended up doing some Freemason hand sign, and the judge is another Freemason. Almost every single one of them is. I can't imagine that there's any of the men who are wearing black dresses, like the temple prostitutes for the Babylonians. I can't imagine that any of those men that are Freemasons wearing dresses, like scripture says men don't wear the outfits of women, and yet the judges are wearing black dresses. So this Freemason does one Freemason hand sign, tells the judge he's a Mason too, and then James McDonald doesn't get in trouble for what he's been doing because they have to help each other out. They're obligated. I love you guys. Come out of the beast of Babylon. It's everywhere.